And I just think the sequence of events and how everything played out, again, to me, that's what suggests that um, something is being coordinated, because I just don't understand how nobody, even uh, Britney's court-appointed lawyer, Sam Ingham, didn't question at any point in these 13 years. Once, if my client was deemed incapable and then suddenly she's learning lines for scripted TV and learning choreography and answering questions in interviews and even mentoring children on X Factor, at no point in those 13 years do you wonder, hey, maybe this person needs a follow-up medical evaluation. I just find that very suspicious, especially for someone who's supposed to be looking after uh, their best interests and their wishes. And if you allow me, I'll get into that a little later. What Christine mentioned about the situation with guardianships in Australia is appalling. I really didn't think it could get worse than what we have in North America, but apparently it can. But that doesn't mean we should be complacent. And hopefully, Britney's case can really shed light on all these abuses and change laws everywhere. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about um, the matters relating to a possible complaint about Sam Ingham, just so there's some understanding about this. Uh, as many of us know, really nothing happened yesterday, and this is a story that keeps repeating itself over and over in this case. And really, after 2 years of the general public becoming aware of Britney's highly questionable conservatorship, how much closer are we really to freeing Britney? Zero, because the process hasn't even started. And in my opinion, Britney made her wishes very clear that she wanted to get out of this conservatorship since her 2008 documentary, Britney for the Record. And Britney's brother, Brian Spears, confirmed in an interview last year that this is still her position today. So I highly doubt that her court-appointed lawyer, Mr. Ingham, and Britney's family aren't aware that these have been her wishes for the past 13 years. And Mr. Ingham is frankly in the best position to do so, because from everything we've learned in this movement, in the documentaries, we've seen the power that court-appointed lawyers have over the judges. They're sometimes even just followed without any, they're followed very easily, essentially. And so why hasn't Mr. Ingham petitioned to terminate this conservatorship? As lawyers, we have an obligation to follow our client's wishes. Therefore, I think Mr. Ingham has failed in his ethical duties to listen to his client. And court documents from Mr. Ingham even show that Britney is afraid of her father, who's been the conservator this entire time. And so it's very concerning that he seems to be focusing on digging up dirt on Britney's father rather than getting her out of this system, which has frightened her and seemingly abused her for almost a decade and a half. We wouldn't keep a domestic assault victim or survivor in the home with her abuser. So why are we keeping this frightened woman in the same system that's harmed her? And I really just feel that a human being's mental and physical safety should be the priority, not the money. Britney's money has nothing to do whether she is capable or not in this conservatorship. And as I mentioned before, in these 13 years, Mr. Ingham, despite seemingly knowing Britney's wishes, doesn't seem to have informed her of her rights to have additional medical evaluations done at any point. This is another failure of his ethical duties to his client. Now, this doesn't mean that we have a right to look at Britney's medical records. Those are, of course, confidential. But Mr. Ingham and Britney's conservators really need to stop treating us like we don't have brains. I think it's safe to say that a proper medical evaluation would support what we can see with our own eyes, that this is someone who has worked so much while being in a conservatorship and that clearly doesn't need one. So I think it's time to put more pressure on everybody, on the senators, on the California bar in terms of Mr. Ingham, on as many uh, different sources as we can to really get to this problem, because so far the only person who is supposed to look after her interests, Mr. Ingham, has failed to abide by his duties. So we should put pressure for him to either abide by those duties or resign so that Britney can have a lawyer who actually listens to her. And to me, this also means terminating the estate conservatorship, because as Christine pointed out, if they control your money, they control you. If Britney needs to ask for money to fix her car from the conservators of the estate because she can't go anywhere, she needs permission for that. And as this same system has already allegedly abused her and frightened her for so long, I don't think that it's in her best interest to continue that, even just on the estate part. And Sam pointed out a very good point that there might be a strategic aspect to this, keeping the estate matter open. But given the alleged abuses here and the alleged fraud, I don't think that it should be the option that's pushed for. There are other options, as Christine pointed out. A wealthy person like Britney usually doesn't need a substitute decision maker. You just need support. So if a person doesn't need a conservatorship of the person, I think it would be very unlikely that they would need a conservatorship over their estate. And freedom is what this movement is all about. We've seen nothing so far in progress about that. And it should concern us that the only person that we're hearing Britney's alleged wishes from is the lawyer that had a huge role in putting her in this position in the first place. A lot of people might say I'm focusing a lot on her lawyer. Maybe it's because as a lawyer myself, we're drilled into client obligations, our duties to clients. So it bothers me when I see someone really not stepping up to that plate. And imagine this was you. Would you want to wait 2, 3, who knows how many more years while your lawyer is digging up dirt about your father? Or would you want that lawyer to get you out of this system so that you can run your life? Um, I just think that that's where the focus should be on. Thank you.